I'm going to call the March 26, 2018 City of Coolidge regular council meeting to order, and ask that everybody rise for the invocation by Pastor Bill Carney of the Christ Lutheran Church. Is he here?
No, Mayor, he's
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, then you're already up. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Norm, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Jimmy Walker,
Here.
Councilmember Steve Hudson,
Here.
Councilmember Robert Huddleston, Mayor John Thompson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Jackie Henry,
Here.
Councilmember Joseph Marsh,
Here.
and Councilmember Tatiana Murrieta.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, item number 4, the first item on the agenda is a presentation by Miss Judy Jackson on a Chief Pinal Education in Arizona. Judy, come on up. Welcome to Coolidge.
Good evening, Mayor Thompson. Thank you so much for inviting us, members of the council. We are really honored to be here today and update you about Chief Pinal. I'm sure that you all have had a presentation from Chief 60 AZ, I'm assuming. Yes? No? Have you yet? From the statewide initiative?
Yeah, we have.
Yes, you have?
Yes,
So
we
this-
have. She remembers. No, we have.
So the statewide
I have.
initiative, as you know, is dedicated to workforce development through educational attainment. And so we felt that here in Pinal County, we needed to adopt that very spirit of workforce development in Pinal County because we have so many jobs coming to our region that we created our own version of that called Achieve Pinal. And I provided in the little packets that I gave you today a little summary of what our committee is. We're a part of the Pinal Alliance for Economic Growth. Well, let me see. There we go. And so our committee, like the state committee, is made up of representatives from business and government, education, and community leaders to work on preparing our workforce for the future through education. We are very fortunate to have a representative from Coolidge on our committee, Sherry Ulmer with the Coolidge Chamber. Also, Lynn Parsons has been extremely supportive of our efforts. We are delighted to have representation. Sherry's been a great addition to our committee, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. We want to represent all of Pinal County to improve these efforts. We know that the statewide goal is 60% of Arizona adults aged 25 to 64 will be armed with a professional certificate or a college degree by 2030. That is a big goal. In Pinal County, we are at 29%. So we have a long way to go. The state number is 43%. So we understand that we have a lot of work to do in order to get where we need to be. As you all know, we have some big employers coming to Pinal County with Dreamport Village and Lucid and Phoenix Mart. And then that has accelerated our urgency for having a workforce prepared for those jobs. We want our people in Pinal County to be able to be qualified for the jobs that are coming. We have more and more people who need to work on those credentials. And as you can see from this slide, the higher your degree, the least likely you are to be unemployed. And so we know that as we go forward, this is going to be more pronounced. Those who have less than a high school degree, there will be fewer and fewer jobs available if you do not have post-secondary education. By the time today's preschoolers complete high school, 7 out of every 10 jobs are going to require some form of higher education. the end of February, Dr. Michael Crow and Governor Doug Ducey spoke at a meeting with the American Enterprise Institute, and they were talking about having our workforce in Arizona prepared for the jobs for the future. And a very interesting bit of information came out of that meeting. That they said that our current generation may go through 4 or 5 jobs in a lifetime. So think about it. How many jobs have you had in your lifetime? The next generation will go through 4 or 5 careers. That's going to be the tremendous difference in how quickly things are changing. And I'm going to quote a statement that came out of that meeting. Globalization, automation, and other emerging technologies are poised to reshape the workplace, the workforce, and the work itself. The skills needed today and in the future are dramatically different from those demanded in the past. These changes merit a broader, a more responsive education system with stronger alignment to employer needs and more flexibility for individuals seeking new skills as they move from one job to another. So what Michael Crow was talking about is that, you know, when we went to school, and I say we because I'm of the older generation, so when I went to school, you went to elementary school, and then you went to middle school, and then high school, and then on to college, and hopefully you got a job. Where in the new world, with the competition that will be there, with the new technologies that we'll be seeing, people will have to go back to school to retool for new jobs. And so you don't want to start at the beginning. So universities will be working more closely with employers on how to specialize education for them to retool for a new career. And that's the future we're looking at. So the compelling case is important for us to lay out today for you so that you understand what is powering our committee. Because we know that we have a lot of work to do in Pinal County to help people understand how important post-secondary education is. We used to think you needed to go to college to get a good job. You're going to need to go to college to get a job in the future. And so we are working on our committee. We are all volunteers. We started in May of last year, and the way we've begun is we've taken the population of Pinal County and we have segmented it. And we are prioritizing those segments in who we want to focus on first. The first audience we selected were 7th graders because we felt that those are the kids who are the class of 2030, which is what that 60% goal is for. And I'll get to the progress meter in just one second. And so we are focusing on 7th graders. I want to tell you very briefly what we've done to target them. We prepared a large toolkit for all the superintendents in Pinal County, and we asked them specifically if they could accelerate discussions about career exploration with 7th graders versus where they're now getting it, which is in their freshman year of high school. So we want kids to start talking about career exploration before they go to high school. Then they'll start talking about what are you good at, what do you like to do, and maybe they can explore classes in high school instead of waiting until college, because that's so much more expensive to have to change your direction for education or change your major. And so hopefully they can experiment with the things they want to try in high school. In your packet today, I provided a brochure that we've put together for high school students. It has a little summary about what our committee is about. And you can see in that brochure that there are a list of median weekly earnings and the educational attainment to achieve those. These have been provided to me by Arizona at Work. And so you can see that less than high school education, you probably earn less than $500 a week, where a doctoral degree is over $1,600 a week. Below that are a list of anticipated Pinal County growth occupations, which you can see what clusters those are in. You can see the occupations and the typical entry education that you need to achieve that job. And then the far right column gives you Pinal County median earnings by the hour. So we provided these to high school kids, and we've been providing them to high school kids because also the next 2 pages explain to kids what you need to do to be ready for college. We provided this also to the superintendents when we met with them, and in their toolkit we provided them information that helps them to link with you in cities. It helps them to link with businesses, because we want schools to connect with the chambers of commerce, like with Lynn, so that if they want to have a business leader come into a classroom and talk about jobs that they have, what kind of skills do you want your workers to have, what kind of pay do you have, what kind of education do you need to have a job in your business, or business leaders who can offer tours. Every community can offer those resources to kids in school, and we're really trying to connect city government with business, with education. We feel like the smallest communities in Pinal County have those 3 entities that could be working together in our Pinal County communities. We've heard over and over from businesses that workers in Pinal County are weak on soft skills. They don't come to work on time. They don't dress appropriately. They don't wash their hair. They don't brush their teeth. Just common things that we think young workers should know. And so we provided a toolkit for all of the superintendents that is age appropriate for middle school kids, that they can, through exercises and projects in middle school, can start teaching those skills to 7th graders. So that gives you kind of an idea of what our committee is trying to do to move the needle into Pinal County. The second audience that we're addressing is high schoolers, and we've just started that group, but we're hoping to target high school students and their families, because we know how important it is for parents to be on board with helping their high schoolers be prepared for college. So how are we going to get there in the middle, on the way? The progress meter, which was created by Expect More Arizona. I also provided a copy for you. It's a color copy in the packet that I gave you. And there are 8 goals on the progress meter. The copy I gave you not only has the goal for Arizona, it tells you where we are in Arizona, but it also tells you where we are in Pinal County. So the very first one is quality early learning. We don't have a measure yet in Pinal County, and several counties throughout Arizona do not as well, but that is a measure of how many children are in high quality preschool. The next goal is 3rd grade reading. So you can see the goal there is 72%. We in Pinal County are at 34%. So we have a long way to go. The next goal is for 8th grade math. The goal is 69%. In Pinal County, we're at 21%. A long way to go there. The next one is high school graduation rate. The goal is 90%. In Pinal County, we're at 72%. So we're doing a little bit better there. Opportunity youth is the next category. Now this category is the percent of 16 to 24-year-olds in Arizona that are not going to school or working. I have a hard time identifying with this group because I know my dad would never have let me be a 16 to 24-year-old that wasn't working or going to school. So somehow these kids are getting supported in one way or another. The goal is 7%, and we are at 23%. So that's one of those goals that you want to drop your number lower. The next category is post-high school enrollment, which means that this is the percent of high schoolers who graduate and who are enrolled in post-secondary education the semester after graduating from high school. The goal is 53%, and in Pinal County, we're at 49%. So we're pretty close there. And then the last goal is the attainment goal that I've already talked to you about, with the 60% certificates by 2030, and we are at 29% for that one. So you might be wondering, why are we here tonight? Well, we specifically have a number of things that we want to ask of you to do, and we feel like you may have already issued a proclamation in support of the attainment goal. If you have not, we would love for you to do so. We would love for you to review your local data, which means hop on to the Expect More Arizona website. It's the #1 resource on the back of the brochure. You can hop on to Expect More Arizona, put in your area code, and you can bring up the scores in your local schools. And so you can review your own local data to see where you are in Coolidge. Then you could set goals for your community. Maybe you work together with your superintendent to set goals that you could publicize on your city website and make that more visible within the community. Use the education progress meter. You can link to it from your city website directly to the education progress meter. You can celebrate successes. This past weekend, I was at a band competition in Gilbert, and I understand that the Coolidge High School did a phenomenal job. And those are those successes that you can publicize on your city website. Not all people in your community have kids in school and may not get the paper, and so the city website might be another way that they can hear good things that are happening in your schools. And of course, they're linked to the education progress meter, as I've already mentioned. We are very excited to keep you updated on what we're working on as we move forward on Achieve Pinal. We want you to know that this is a county-wide project. I hope that Sherry will be the one to keep you updated going forward. And so if you have questions about what we're doing, if you'd like someone to speak to a club you're involved in to inform people about what we're up to, we would love to come over and talk to you. Sherry is available here in Coolidge, and I would be happy to handle any questions if you have any.
Presentation was just as good the second time as it was the first.
Well, thank you.
It looks like we got a lot of work to do.
We do.
And this group has been in contact with, I'm sure, the high school here and the school. You've given the presentation to the school board?
We have not given one to the school board yet, but we hope to do so. So any encouragement you can push out there for us, we'd love to do it.
I don't know that we've done a proclamation. I don't think so. So we can look into that.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Have you given it to other school boards? I'm just curious.
We have done a couple of school boards, but we're starting to do more because, like I said, we're a volunteer committee. We've only been in together since May, and so we don't have any paid staff. We're doing it ourselves, and so we have just barely gotten to the point where we're doing more presentations because we have something to talk about.
Okay.
I did put in your packets a list of the committee members.
I saw that.
So that you can see the people that are serving on the committee. So you can reach out to any of us if you have any questions. We are a committee of Pinal Alliance, so we're on the Pinal Alliance website. We have a link on the website.
Well, thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you so much.
Tell Jess hello when you see him. All right, thank you, Judy. And the mayor, did he leave you? No, there he is. All right. Just want to make sure he didn't run off. Okay. Now we will move into the call of the public. Well, this is the portion of the meeting where if any member of the public has anything to say to the council, please step up to the podium, state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name's Heidi Miller. I live at 1050 North 9th Street, Apartment 13, Coolidge, Arizona. I'm here because of April is National Child Abuse Awareness Month, and the Spirit of Joy United Methodist Church and Imagine Elementary School is sponsoring a poster contest for the Child Help National Hotline. We have 5 different churches, one in Casa Grande, one in Eloy, one here, and another one in Apache Junction, that are going to be hosting sites for kids to come in and make posters, as well as Imagine Elementary School. And we are going to have the poster contest winners April 28th from 10 o'clock to 11:30 at Imagine Elementary School. TJ Shope is going to come and say a few words. I want to thank the library because they have a event, Bikers Against Child Abuse. I noticed they were coming in. I contacted them. They are going to be at Imagine Elementary School as well on April 28th. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is that Spirit of Joy United Methodist Church is hosting a Sabbath for the children on Sunday, April 8th from 9:30 a.m. to around 10:30 a.m. We have guest speakers. The director for the Women's Hope Center is going to be speaking, and we are collecting a special fast offering that will go to support the Women's Hope Center. We are also going to be video recording it because I am sending it to the Children's Defense Fund, who promotes Sabbaths for the children, and also Basil Chavidian, Billy Graham's grandson, who heads up Grace, Godly Response to Abuse in the Christian Environment. He came to an event that I organized in 2009 in my hometown, and his comment was, my hometown is smaller, 5,000 year-round population, that Bethlehem was a small town too. And so we're looking at having him here next year for April. And I'm working on, and the mayor and I have talked about having a faith leadership council for Coolidge, and they supported the event when I held it in my hometown. We had 9 different churches that participated, and so we'd like to look forward to forming that faith leadership council. I have information on the Children's Sabbath and the event, and I'll leave it for people to look at. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, seeing nobody step forward, we'll move out of the call to the public and we will go into the business items for consent. Before I read them all, is there any items that anybody wants pulled off to be dealt with separately? No? Okay, here we go. Items for consent. Item 5. Consider approval of entering into a 4th amended restated membership agreement between the Arizona Municipal Risk Retention Pool and the City of Coolidge to update the agreement for liability and property coverage, workers' compensation, and the risk management program services. Item 6. Resolution number 18-07, a resolution of the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Coolidge, Arizona, adopting a fair housing policy, making known its commitment to the principle of fair housing, and describing actions it shall undertake to affirmatively further fair housing, designating April 2018 as Fair Housing Month. Item 7, consider approval of entering into a cooperative purchase agreement from the Pinal County IFB PC 140319 for aggregate, slurry, and Portland cement between the City of Coolidge and Vulcan Asphalt LLC, doing business as Vulcan Materials, for the FY 17-18 street work program. Item 8, consider approval of entering into a cooperative purchase agreement based on Pinal County IFB PC -13018 for supply, delivery, and application of pavement maintenance materials between the City of Coolidge and Western Emulsions Inc., and subsequent renewals for the FY 17-18 street work program. Item 9, consider approval of entering into a professional services agreement between D2 Surveying and the City of Coolidge for construction survey services for the FY 17-18 annual roadway maintenance program in the amount of $10,000, authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. Item 10, consider approval to unfreeze the capital budget to purchase 1 lawnmower from Tractor Supply Company in Coolidge in the amount of $6,129.15 for the Parks Department. And item 11, consider approval of the claims for the month of February 2018. If there are no questions,
Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I make a motion that we approve consent consent items on consent 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 as read.
Second.
okay, then this is, we'll need a roll call vote. There's a resolution.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Walker,
Yes.
Councilmember Murieta,
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move into business, regular items. Consider approval of the FY 16-17 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the audit, for filing.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council.
Good evening.
Tonight, we're bringing the audit for approval for you guys. Just a few things before I let Mr. Yusevich from Colby and Powell come up and discuss what they found when they came in to do our annual audit. Overall, there's two ways you can look at our overall situation. This past year, overall fund balances citywide decreased about $327,000. But if you look at all the road construction, you look at the federal funds that were put into the airport, you look at the sidewalk improvements, drainage improvements, all the investment that we put into the city, that totals around $3.7 million this past year that we put back into the community. So there's one thing to have fund balances that are high and be financially solvent, and there's another time where you actually put that money back into the community, which is what we chose to do last year. So overall, we're still in good positions. We have healthy fund balances, and healthy, I mean, we have enough. We have somewhat of a rainy day fund. I wouldn't say that we're sitting pretty in those, but we have enough to get by. There are some tricky accounting mechanisms that the Governmental Accounting Standards Boards keeps changing on us. One of the things you guys hear us come up and talk about a lot is the unfunded liabilities. Now, the one that gets the most attention is PSPRS, but at the same time, Arizona State Retirement needs to report theirs as well. So there's been a lot of changes over the past couple years. So to give you an idea, this past year, the amount that we had to recognize on our financial statements, which affects the overall balances that we have, was about $430,000. So what that means is, if everybody went out and retired in all of ASRS, and if all of our officers and fire personnel left at one time, this is what would happen. Obviously, that is very unlikely, but those are things that the Governmental Accounting Standards Board wants us to put on the financial statement to give a more true picture of what each municipality is reporting. So when you look at the fund balances, yeah, they did go down, but look at the work that we put into the community. Look at the things that we're forced to put on these balance sheets and income statements due to things out of our control. Most likely, those amounts we never have to come out of pocket for in terms of the unfunded liabilities, but nonetheless, they need to be reported. So, but without further ado, I'm bringing Mr. Yusevich up, and he can tell you what he found.
Thank you. Welcome.
Council, grateful for this opportunity. Basically, audits, the main goal of our audits is to make sure that the numbers in here are materially correct. And that's our number one goal. Either during the process, we look for errors, whether those are just errors or fraud. And if I were to boil the audit down, one is, did I find any fraud? No, I did not find any fraud. That's an important thing. Next thing, are we better or worse off than last year? We're a little bit worse off than last year. But you know what? You have a capital projects fund, you have these other funds. You can't always make money. You want to spend more time in the black than the red. This year was the red, but your fund balances, what you have moving forward, you have healthy fund balances. So that's a good thing. Also, during our audit, you received almost about $2.8 million in federal funds. That requires us to go in and do compliance testing, they call it, in those funds that we receive. Any findings in those, we have to report. You guys are well versed in grants, and that's good, which is a good thing, because we didn't find anything, we didn't have to report anything to the federal government. And now, as government funds get tighter, a lot of grants are competitive grants, meaning if you have findings, that points against you. So not having any findings is a good thing. But overall, I'd really like to thank Gabe and the accounting department. They're very helpful, and the audit went very smooth. I know there's a lot of transition this last year, Gabe being new and stuff, but overall, the audit went really well, and I appreciate all the help that everyone gave me. So, with that being said, do you have any questions for me?
I've looked over the summary, and it looks like we're in fairly decent shape. I mean, if there was something wrong, you'd have the federal marshals with you. So I guess we're okay then, huh?
For this year, yeah. No.
All right. Well, you know Gabe's address, right?
What's that?
Gabe's the guy in charge of the money, so that's who you'd want to talk to. Yeah. But anyway, thank you. No, I reviewed it. It looks pretty good. Does anybody have any questions? No. No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Job, Jade, department.
Okay. Moving to item 13.
Mayor, we need a motion.
Oh, we need a motion to approve the thing. Okay, sure. I was happy just reading it. Okay, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we go to, I saw Matt rushing up there and I didn't know what the deal was. I wanted to get going. Resolution number 18-08. A resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, amending the solid waste fee schedule, Exhibit A, to Chapter 21 of the Code of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, to change free solid waste deposited at the community drop-off center and green waste deposited at the burn pit from once per month per person to once per month per address. Okay, Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam Vice Mayor and members of the council. This is just to amend the solid waste fee schedule that was brought before you for approval back in January, implementing the fees. It was presented to you as once per person, and now we're amending it to once per address.
Does anybody have any questions or, no, down here, Jimmy? You down there? No? All right, then, if there's no discussion, I would look for a motion to do something.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Norma?
Councilmember Walker?
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta?
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Henry?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yeah.
Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you, Matt. Item 14, consider approval of entering into a professional services agreement between the City of Coolidge and Tischler Bice, Inc. for the purpose of performing an updated development fee study. Is that you, Rick?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we have been in contact with Carson Bice. Carson Bice with Tischler Bice has been our consultant in the past in updating our impact fee ordinance and study. We really are at a point in time where we need to update ours. Generally, you want to do that every, 4 or 5 years, and it's been about that long since we did the last impact fee study. We've met with Carson and have talked about making some changes to the study that are based on, what's the reality of building certain public improvements over a 10-year period. And we'll be coming back to the Mayor and Council should you decide to pursue this with recommendations for some changes to our impact fee study and ordinance. This whole process will require an infrastructure improvement plan, as well as studying the various elements that we currently collect impact fees for. Those elements right now typically are police, fire, parks and recreation, transportation, and wastewater, and library. Those are the areas that we currently collect for. We'd probably be looking at changing some of those based on the current growth rate that we're seeing, which is minimal over the last several years. The projections haven't been accurate, and so we're probably not going to be building some of the infrastructure that we said that we would be building over the next 10 years. Doesn't mean that we can't come back in if the growth accelerates and we see a major boom in housing. We can always come back in and amend these fees later to increase them if necessary. But right now, I think we're probably in a better position to evaluate what the reality is with growth projections and what we're actually going to build and what we're going to be collecting these funds for, so that we're at the end of 10 years not rebating impact fees to people that paid them. We don't want to do that or put ourselves in a position for that. So the direction tonight is just to have you authorize us to work with Carson Bice, who has familiarity with this area and with our current impact fee ordinance. Tischler Bice is one of the leaders in the country in helping communities develop impact fees that are defensible. And my recommendation this evening would be for you to authorize us to into the contract with him. His estimated cost has come down a little bit because we're going to take a couple of those categories probably out of the equation altogether. So there won't be as much need for study when we take some of those out.
Well, I know that when all this came about many years ago, it was about growth paying for itself, and you know, we were doing a lot of permits at the time, and then the bottom fell out. Now here we are coming back, but I think it's pretty important that we take a serious look at it, because I noticed some of the surrounding communities are looking at it, and if we want to be competitive when it starts to open up, and Mr. Lopez has assured me that it will, and so I'd like to know, though, Dennis, a lot of this was brought on by the changes at the legislature, wasn't it?
Right, but they have to be updated every 5 or 6 years. And the rebates, if you don't spend the money, and the obligation to give it back to the people who paid for the impact fees.
Mr. Mayor, I forgot to say that the impact fee study itself can be paid for out of the impact fees we've collected. That is a legitimate use of the impact fees.
I read that in the packet, that's why I didn't ask you. I knew how we were going to pay for it.
Make sure.
So. And if you don't spend it, it goes away. So, you know, and we need an impact fee update anyway. I believe we talked about this before, and I think that we decided at that time we wanted to move forward. So, did they give you any idea how long it's going to take?
Well, there's statutory requirements for, you know, imposing these and creating the ordinance, and then establishing rates, and then allowing public comment from the various impacted organizations. And so, you know, I think we're probably looking at least 6 months or more before this thing can all get wrapped up.
Okay. All right. Then, anybody have any questions? No?
Rick, you said that you see the cost of this going down?
Yes.
So was the dollar amount on the action form, is that correct, or is that the?
That is the dollar in the action form is correct. It was, I think, the original estimate was around 80,000, and it's down to 46.
Okay. It was 80 or 82. It was pretty high. Steve, anything? Okay. All right. If nobody has anything, I need a motion to do something.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve item 14 as read.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, that's our agenda report. We'll start down here with Council Member Jim.
I'd just like to take a minute to thank Ricky and his staff and the fire department for removing the graffiti at the park as quick as they did. And just the entire city staff from all of our departments, they always do an awesome job, and I appreciate you guys a lot.
I just want to wish everybody a safe and happy Easter, and hope you enjoy your family and the reason why we have Easter.
Thank you, sir. Tatiana.
I feel like I'm always giving a shout out to our kids, but I attended the Pinal County Fair last week, and I'm very proud of all of our youth, and of course the advisors that we have, our 4-H leaders. I know that Miss Bonnie Palmer is still a long-time leader with the Coolidge Clovers 4-H, and Mr. Ben Newton and his wife, and of course Miss Roner and Miss Skornick. I always give them shout outs as well too. All of our kids did extremely well. We actually had one of our Coolidge kids that took grand champion and reserve grand champion in her carcass and her market animal. I thought that was pretty awesome. And all the exhibits in the exhibit booth, a lot of our kids got first place blue ribbons and purple ribbons, so very proud of our youth.
Good. Joe.
I have nothing there.
Oh, wait a minute. Jackie,
Yeah.
do you have anything you want to add?
I just wanted to say that I went to the chamber luncheon, and the speaker was very informative. And I just want to remind everybody that the Air Force gliders are still at the airport. So if you want to see something pretty cool, make it out there before they leave, I think on Thursday. And that's all.
Thank you. Rick?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, just a couple of things here. The street progress is coming along, in front of City Hall. Matt reported today that they're probably 3 or 4 days ahead of schedule now. Keep praying that there's no more rain to slow it down, but things are actually looking pretty good, and wrapping that project up here will be a real plus for everybody. There's been a lot of patience shown. We appreciate the patience of the businesses and the community during this disruption, but I really think the end result's going to be something that everybody's going to be very happy with. A lot of people ask about the hump on Main Street. You know, when you're driving down the street, you kind of fall off a precipitous slope. That's going to be cut back or milled back 30 feet more, so that little hump will disappear. It'll be much leveler, much more gentle, and not as noticeable as you see it today. So a lot of people asking questions about that, but that will not be the way it is. That's not a speed bump.
Oh, I thought maybe we were going to have some ramping competition here.
I'd also like to commend our police department and fire departments we had a pretty serious accident the other night. All the local agencies had a great exercise out at the airport recently, where they had a scenario where they had a transport van, like a tourist bus, with people participated in this, and there were actors that were injured, and then there were several agencies out there doing this exercise. It couldn't have been more timely with the mass casualty incident that we had on Arizona Boulevard in Vacayen the other day, where Ford pickup hit a large transport van. And I commend our law enforcement and our fire department personnel for the rapid response, for all the people with life flight. It was just a great effort by everyone here, and I think the exercise and that training really came into good play. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Well, I doubt that anybody noticed that I wasn't here last week, but I didn't have a chance to thank publicly our police department for their efforts after the school shooting and the local threats. I was over at the high school with Commander Grizzle and Officer Martinez, and there were a number of Coolidge officers going around to all the schools, and there was a threat from one of the students over at one of the schools, and Coolidge was on it, and it was over in a hurry. So they did an excellent job. For all of last year, we had people come in and talk about our police department, and I'm going to talk about them tonight because they did an excellent job, and they showed the community, and more importantly, they showed the students in this community that it's safe to go to school in Coolidge because they're going to be out there, and when they're needed there, they're going to be there. So I wanted to thank them. Chief, make sure and pass it along, if you will. Commander, thank you. And I too attended the chamber luncheon the other day, and Matt McCormick from St. Holdings did an excellent job, an excellent presentation. If anybody wonders if the city made a mistake switching out of the organization, the economic development organization that we were in, I don't remember the name of it, that for all those years it cost us over $100,000 and we didn't get one lead. Dennis, I'm sure you remember who they were. Okay. But anyway, when we decided to switch, we went local, and it's paid off. I mean, if anybody that saw that presentation and see what could be in the future along the south end of the city, which is now down towards Eloy, but still, there's a lot coming to Coolidge, and if even a portion of it comes to be true, I think we're going to be sitting in pretty good shape. We'll actually see some revenue, some development, and a lot of jobs. And there are other things in the works that we really can't discuss because we have what do they call it? Non-disclosure. So I couldn't tell you even if I knew. And so, but there are, and it's one of those things that Mr. McCormick and his organization, along with some of the others, have done a great job with Mr. Miller and Mr. Lopez. And so I think we're moving in the right direction. It may not always seem like it, but I think you'll see some in the near future. And in saying that, I would thank everybody for coming. See Mr. Good evening, Mr. Garcia. It's nice to see you. And anyway, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Anybody, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.